we're going to learn how to use the Schema Functions extension for Gato GraphQL. Schema Function is a collection of very powerful fields and directives added to the GraphQL schema to boost your productivity. Here we have several examples of what we can do. We're going to go over them. The first one is the email sender, which is the send email mutation to send emails. We can send as text, like in this case, I'm going to send an email as text. Here we can see that it has arrived. Here we have it as a text, and we can also send it as HTML, all within the same mutation. We send this email, and now here we have it. It has arrived as an HTML. Okay, we can close. The next one. So we have the ability to fetch a field and then manipulate the field. This is something that we have seen in the query functions extension called field to input. And the idea is that we can transform that value into something else. So in this example, we are calculating the opposite value. So if the post has a comment, then with the underscore note, we're going to get the opposite value, meaning if it doesn't have a comment. So when we execute this is what we got. Has comment true, not has comment false. Has comment false, not has comment true. The idea here is this not is a very useful field to calculate these transformations, and we have plenty of those. And this is what the function fields extensions will give us. What we have is pretty much a lot of different operations given by the PHP programming language, like you can add integers, multiply, subtract, you can combine the properties in arrays, get a random element from an array, join arrays, get one array item, search in an array, array unique, array merge, array remove. You can do regex search and replace. You can find if something if it contains a string, if it starts with a string, string shuffle, string split, object properties, remove properties, a lot of different functions. You can get the time, the current time, you can make a new time. When we execute this, here we have different examples of all of the things that we can do with these function fields. So these are helpers to let us modify all the fields in any way that we may need. And the idea is that within one single GraphQL query, we can execute all of the logic that we need to transform the value and do something else with it. Next one is similar. It's called function directives. So as much as function fields, you have it as directives. So for instance, in this case, we have the directive uppercase. If we comment this one out, we have these are the post title, and using the str uppercase directive, we have all of the titles transformed to uppercase. So with the function directives, it's a collection of lots of directives to execute some operation. You can calculate the opposite of a bool, add to an integer, add an entry to an object, remove properties, slice from an array, find in you can do a search and replace, and many more. So when we execute this, here we are. We have examples of all the different things: uppercase, lowercase, middlecase, append, prepend, string repeat, regex replace, all of the things that we can do, which are basically helpers for manipulating our values in the GraphQL query. Then we have another utility called helper fields, which is similar to the function fields, but they have a bit more logic. It's not like a PHP function that we already have. So then we provide it as a separate in a separate module. So we have the field URL add params to add a parameter to URL, URL remove params. We can convert a JSON object to an array of tuples. We're going to see this. We can convert a markdown to HTML. We can combine all the elements in an array to generate all of the possibilities. We can decode an XML as a JSON. We can parse a CSV. We can convert a data matrix into a CSV. We can extract the properties from a JSON object. So we run this, the helper fields, and we see here we are adding parameters to the URL, removing parameters, Here we were converting from a JSON object into a list of tuples of name value way. Then we are converting a markdown to the HTML, creating the combinations of elements in an array. We're decoding the XML as a JSON, so then we can operate extracting the property from the XML. We are creating a CSV. We can then export the post that we have in the site. We can export the user that we have in the site and put it somewhere else, and creating a CSV here too. And next one, the final one, is called environment fields, and this is the ability to get the environment variables and PHP constants that we have defined in our site. This is something that we need to operate with care. So if I execute this environment fields, I can see that I can query the constant called dbName, which we set in the wp-config.php file, and a PHP constant that we have set there. And if we want to restrict this, because logically we might not want outsiders to query our dbName, we can restrain what values we can access. So when we go to the settings, we go to the schema elements configuration, and here on environment fields, we can define which constants are queryable. So in this case, by default, we are denying access to nothing. That's why we can query everything. So we can change this, allow access. Now this is allowing access of nothing. And if I save this, then it will not allow me to query anything. Now we run this again, and it will say access to entry with name dbName is not allowed, and access to entry date ISO is not allowed. So we can also give permission to a specific entry. So for instance, in this case, we can say you can allow dbName. We save this again, and when we execute this again, now the date ISO 8601 is failing, but the dbName is actually working. Or we can also use a regular expression to say to give access to multiple constants. So in this case, for instance, we can do db asterisk. So this is a regex, and this should also work. Now when we execute this again, dbName, this is still working, and the PHP constant, this one, the date ISO 8601, is failing. Okay, I hope that you have enjoyed this video. Thank you.